Hello, stampers. Welcome to Learning with Friends. I am Pat Fairless from Fairless Stamp and Flair, and I'm excited to be with you today. I have a super easy technique. You've probably seen it many times before. It's called masking tape technique. And I'm going to show you the standard way to do it, but then I'm also going to show you a little bit of a twist that I played with using watercolor paper. You know me, I like to get a little bit messy. So anytime you put water and ink together, we get a little bit messy. So that's what we're going to do today. Let me just flip my camera over and we will get started. The nice thing about this technique is you don't really need very much. You need some kind of a masking tape. I'm just going to use this plain old blue painter's tape. You can use whatever you have. And you need some cardstock and some ink. So I'm first going to show you the typical way that you've seen this technique done. And I'm just going to start out with a piece of basic white cardstock. And before I actually get to the technique, I'm going to show you a couple different things. I'm going to use 3 different colors. I've got Azure Afternoon, Balmy Blue, and Blueberry Bushel. So let me just show you a couple things with the Blueberry Bushel on this piece of basic white cardstock. So maybe I'll move that over here a little bit. The first thing you want to do is you want to figure out which way do I want my tape to go or my streaks to go. Now I've got some weirdness going on with my tape here. I think I have an extra piece on the outside. That's okay. We're going to use this one to show you a demonstration. You will want however many different colors of ink you want to use. You'll want that many pieces of tape. So I've got 3 different colors for this first demonstration. And so I will want 3 pieces of tape because you don't want to take one from, say, Blueberry Bushel and then use the same one on a Balmy Blue pad because you're going to transfer ink, right? So always stick to 1 piece of tape per color. And the other thing you want to make sure of is that your tape is a little bit longer than where you want to lay it on your card. So if I were to want to lay this way on my card, I would just have enough, which means I have to hold it by the tippy tip of my fingers, which is not necessarily the easiest and best way to do it. Now you might want to use a little, this is pretty sticky painter's tape. It works fine for this, but a less tacky one would work well too. So if you wanted to lay it this way, then this one's plenty long. You just want enough beyond the piece of your cardstock to have a good grip on your tape. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways. We can get pretty consistent stripes, I'll call it, if I lay this on here and I press through the whole thing. Now I am going to get inky, so I've got a piece of paper towel that I will keep handy just to try to keep my fingers reasonably clean. This one's just show you how to do it. So I have this pretty equally inked and you can see it's pretty good. There's a couple pieces on the edges that aren't. And if you wanted to make sure they were, just lay it in there again and press down on the edge. But the more consistently you ink this, when you lay this on here, now it still isn't quite long enough to cover. So I'm going to need to get it a little bit more on each side. You want to ink up as much as the width of your cardstock and maybe a little bit beyond. So this will work. So this one is pretty consistently inked. And let me just put this down and I'm going to rub this on here and I'm going to push pretty consistently on here and pick it up. Okay. Now you can see that is a pretty solid stripe. There's not a lot of variation. Now, if I wanted a more organic look, and by organic, I mean blotchy. So I'm going to clean this off. I'll put this on my paper towel a little bit here. Get it a little bit clean. Let me get some of my ink off my fingers. Hand sanitizer works pretty darn good to get ink off Could just use a spritzer of water too. Or just wipe it on her bag. But you don't want to have ink on your fingers and then pick up your cardstock and have a big thumbprint, right? So I want that clean. So this is now pretty clean. Not much left on there. So I'm going to put this on here again. And we're not going to worry about getting it all the way across. I just kind of want to show you. And now I am just kind of like lightly dabbing this here and there. But I am not rubbing it to get a lot of ink. And if you look at that, see how much more blotchy that is? And that's what I mean when I call it organic. So let's just, and we would want to make sure it's long enough. If I want it to go all the way across, to have some there. And I'm just going to now lightly rub, not necessarily completely. And see the difference between those two? So I call this a more organic look. It's just kind of an accent here. It looks really much like a stripe. So that's what I mean when I say it depends on how you ink it and how you put it on your card, what look you're going to get. For the first card, I wanted it to look a little bit more like this, and I'm going to show you the card first. This is the one I'm going to make. Here's my three colors, Blueberry Bushel, Balmy Blue, and Azure Afternoon. It might be the other way, Balmy, Azure. Blueberry, Azure, and Balmy Blue. Almost looks like Pool Party, but I know I used Balmy Blue. So we will look at that. And here I did it at an angle. So think about that before you do it. Also, if you want your lines vertical, horizontal, because it'll make a difference how long your tape needs to be. So if I want a diagonal, I need to have these pieces at least long enough to go corner to corner, right? So I am just I'm going to tear all three of them. And I'm just sticking them kind of off to the side here on my edge of my table. It's easier to have them all done before. So let's move that so we don't get that inky. And let's bring in our tape. And I find it easier. If I want them at an angle, I just lay the card at an angle because then I can hold them lined up. And then I also like to have all of my ink pads open. So here's my Blueberry Bushel. Here is my Balmy Blue, and I'm probably not going to get all of these in here without getting my hands in them. And then I have Azure Afternoon. So usually I just kind of lay them off to the side. And let's start with, and it doesn't matter where I start. I could start in the middle. I could start at one end. I am just, if you're worried about getting them spaced evenly, sometimes starting in the middle works best and then it's equal. So I'm just going to start down here in one corner. And because I'm just getting a short piece, I'm just going to lightly push that. And you can kind of see what it looks like. And I'm going to lay this on here and lightly rub. Okay, so it's kind of splotchy, right? You can see it's kind of splotchy, which is the look I'm after. Now I have to remember that this one is for my Blueberry Bushel, so I am just going to lay that right on my ink pad, and we're going to take a clean one, and we will ink up Azure Afternoon. And okay. And I'm going to leave a little white space. And you can see I already got some little bit of ink on here where I don't want it, but it's okay. So now I'm going to lay this one back on my ink pad so I know that goes with the Azure Afternoon. And I'll bring in a clean one here for Balmy Blue. And I'm getting longer, so I'm going to kind of start over on one side and get more of my ink in here. Just kind of look on the back to make sure you've got ink everywhere. And again, I can see I don't have it near the edges, but if I want it more on the edges, then just come in and rub a little bit more. The closer to the edges you rub, the more ink you will get on your fingers. It just, there's no way about it, because you're going to rub your finger on the ink. Okay. And then we're just going to repeat. So I'm going to ink up my blueberry bushel again. And we will lay this on here. I'm just eyeballing it to make sure it's straight. Kind of rubbing. Okay. You can see even I'm getting some lines from where the edges were, but that's okay. That just kind of adds some interest. Now you can also see I missed and didn't get any ink here. If I was anal about that, I could go back and ink a little piece here and just kind of lay it right there. Am I still in the camera? Can lay it over top and just push it down, and now I have ink. Okay, so let's do the next color, which is Azure Afternoon. And we will just finish this up quickly. If you do not like to get inky fingers, first of all, I don't know how you can be a paper crafter and have a problem with getting inky fingers, because it's unavoidable, isn't it? I don't even think I have to touch ink, and I have ink on my fingers sometimes. I feel like I just look at the ink pad, and I got ink. And I'm like, how did that happen? I've barely even gotten to put any ink on anything, but I have it on my fingers. And let's just get that last little piece up here in the corner, just to finish that off. So now take these inky pieces of tape and throw them away in your trash and close it up. Now in this case, I just did a a quarter sheet of cardstock, and I can cut this down to whatever size I want it. Use the trimmings to decorate the inside. You've seen me do that many times before. So let me see how much ink I can get off my hands. And I want to get most of it off because I just don't want to get it onto my next one. So I showed you that card already. I kept it pretty simple. I just put a sentiment on the front. This is the Faith and Courage, or Courage and Faith, I think is actually the name of the stamp set. It's beautiful sentiments with Bible verses, and it has a couple of different branches that you can use to set off your verses that you use. But I mostly wanted my focus here to be on my sentiment and on the background. I didn't want to take it away. And then I just stamped that on the inside. No naked insides, no naked envelopes. And these were cut with, these are fussy cut. There are not dies with this stamp set. And they were just colored with Stampin' Blends. So that's my first card. I do have 3 cards to show you. The next card that I'm going to demonstrate for you, we're going to do a twist on this. So what I just showed you is the basic, simple way of doing masking, and that's how you're most often probably going to see it done. That may be how you most often want to do it. But I wanted to play a little bit because, you know, I like to get messy, and I've got a good start. And we're going to use watercolor paper. Now, there's a couple different ways you can do this. You can do just what we did and then spritz the watercolor paper, or you can spritz the watercolor paper and then do the technique with the tape and spritz it again. It just depends on how much you want it to run. For my sample card, I spritzed first, and then I did the tape, and then I spritzed again. This time I want to try, this is a little bit easier way to control the amount of water. When you spritz, it's not, it's not as easy to control how much water or the direction it goes, because sometimes you spritz and you figure out you spritzed the wrong place, right? And you end up with more water. But if you brush it with a water painter, you can control it a little bit better. So I'm just squeezing out a little bit of water here. And I'm just going to wet this down. And we might do this more than once during the process, because if it gets dry and we need to wet it, we can easily do that. So I'm going to keep my water painter handy. I'm going to keep it happy too, because it's wet. And for this card, I am going to use all the new in colors. So I probably should have brought these out before I wet that down, but that's all right. We've got Pretty in Pink, Summer Splash, Petunia Pop, Shy Shamrock, and Peach Pie. And these are the most beautiful colors. I just love them, and I love how they all go together. So I'm going to open them all up and lay them across my table here. And I might need to make a little bit more room. I'm going to work from left to right in adding the colors. And I'm actually only going to put partial things on here. I don't even want them to go all the way across. So can we see everything? We can. We've got lots of blue stuff there on my background. I probably should put a clean grid paper down, but that's all right. You'll get the idea. And now I need 5 pieces of clean tape. And I'm going to go in this direction, so it doesn't need to be that long. I'm just going to make it just a little bit longer than my cardstock. And we will just put these down here along the edge. They're here, I promise. You just can't see them. They're kind of out of my way. I just got them stuck to the edge of my table so I can grab them easily and try to keep them from curling back and sticking on each other. And in this case, I'm going to start in the middle, just because it's a little bit easier to get them spaced. On my sample card, I started at the top and I kind of ran out of room at the bottom. So I'm going to start in the middle, and I said I'm going to work from top to bottom with Pretty in Pink, Summer Splash, Petunia Pop, Shy Shamrock, and Peach Pie way off here on my right. But I'm going to start with Petunia Pop here in the middle. And this has already gotten dry, so let me, water paper dries fairly fast. I do have my spritzer, so we will be spritzing this, but I just wanted to try it with this first before I spritzed to see if I got a little less running. So I am just going to get a little bit of ink on here. And again, I'm not one who likes to get the whole tape inky, but if you want to, that's fine. And I'm just going to do kind of partial. And can you see how that's running? I love it. That's just kind of my thing. And we are only going to do one of each color. So now I can take my dirty one and I'll put it on my other table. And let's work down. So why don't I go ahead and just move this one right out of my way. And we'll take Shy Shamrock, get a little ink on here. And I'm going to go below the Petunia Pop. And we're going to come out just a little bit further. And it's already drying to some extent. So it's running a little bit less, but that's okay. This is something, when you do it with the water, you kind of want to get all your stuff out and work reasonably quickly, I guess, which is kind of great for a video, so we don't take it your whole day. And let's put this one down here. You can overlap these if you want. You can put them next to each other. You could leave white space between, and you're going to see they're going to kind of blend into each other, which is what's pretty, is what I like. And now we're going to work up. So now I have Summer Splash, and I'm just going to check how wet this is. I may want to add just a little bit more water up here. I think I'm liking working with the water painter better than the spritzer on this initial wetting here. Okay. And you can see, I'm not even trying to get these the same length. I don't really want them the same length. I just want blotches of color. And let's put this one even a little further out, maybe. Oh, I grabbed the wrong one. Oh, no, no, no. We did not want to do that. We wanted pretty and pink up there. That's why I close them up. But I think you get the idea. That should be pretty and pink. I do have a separate one here. Do you want to do another one and see it quick? I think you get the idea. Oh, and I almost dropped it right in there. So well, I do want to show you with the spritzing. So let's just do this once more. You can fast forward. Get this a little wet. All right, now I need clean because I stuck all my tapes together. So I need 5 pieces of clean tape. You're really going to know how to do this well by the time I show you multiple times, right? Okay, let's get them back in order. And this time I will try to close them up. It was turning out so good. I got right to the last one and I messed up. But it's okay. It'll be fine. So, all right, let's try this again. Let's get some Petunia Pop back here in the middle. Start pretty close to the middle. Maybe I'll keep them straight this time. I don't know. I feel like I need a little bit more water on here. You know, this is where we're kind of close to playing around, because you'll see how much it runs and how much you want it to run. And if you're a person who likes nice straight lines, then don't put water on it. You'll just want to keep it. And I wouldn't even use watercolor paper. So, all right, here we got our Shy Shamrock. And can I do it without closing them up and messing up? I don't know if I trust myself now or not. Who saw that I was going to do that? Where you're like, no, you're getting the wrong one. I see that sometimes when I'm watching videos and I'm like, oh no, they grabbed the wrong one. You guys probably saw it better than I did. But I totally get messing up. We all do it, right? Well, let's make this a little bit shorter. And now we're going to put the last one, this out of the way, way out of the way, and we'll get pretty and pink. I'm sure I have a clean one. And let's put him a little further out. And pretty and pink is a much lighter color, but now you see them all. And they're still fairly straight. I'm going to dab the edges here where it's puddling just a bit to lighten that up. Now I can take my spritzer, which just has plain old water in it, and if I want them to run a little bit more, let me lay this on here. Wait till you see this card. This card's pretty. And we are just going to spritz and see it run. Can you see that? You can probably particularly see it with the Summer Splash in the Shy Shamrock, because they're running into the Petunia Pop, and the Shy Shamrock wants to head down to Peach Pie. They're good buddies. They are really pretty together. And you can kind of run this around, flip it around, and let it flow however you want it. It's now, you can dry this if you want with your heat tool. I usually just kind of like to let it set and dry. It leaves it, if you blow it with your heat tool, it's going to run because you're going to push the water. But let me show you the card. And here's my finished card. And you can see here my Shy Shamrock on the bottom. This one I spritzed, then I did the tape, and then I spritzed again, which had more water than brushing with the brush like I just showed you. So the Shy Shamrock down here really ran into the peach, and I lost a lot of my peach. And even the pink came down, you can kind of see it, or the petunia pop came down into here. But I think that's really pretty. I like how that is. So I did feel like my peach pie was maybe feeling a little neglected because it got kind of washed out by Shy Shamrock. So I gave him a peach pie butterfly. This is from the stamp set called Spotlight on Nature. Love this stamp set. I bought it for the dies, and I'm finding I use the stamps more than the circle dies, which is what I really bought it for. I did brush a little Wink of Stella on there. I don't know how well you can see that. I can see it. It glitters like crazy. One little cute, I guess it's just a tip. This has to be fussy cut. There are no dies for the flowers or the butterfly. They're just the circles. And I did not want to have to cut around his little antennae. So I stamped just the part of the body and mostly the head. I just inked out part of it and stamped that onto my card. And then I didn't have to cut that out. I could just snip off this little antenna, but it still looks like it's on the card. Just helps with your fussy cutting. So that is that card. Here is the inside. I used that same stamp set with Courage and Faith. And my Miss Butterfly here said she's a symbol of hope, so she wanted to be on there by the sentiment. So that is my card. I stamped the same thing on the envelope. So let me get rid of this inky mess. And we are just showed you that card. I showed you this card. This is the basically standard way to do, most common way to do masking tape. And then I have one more card to show you. And this is done using the same technique, the same way I did this, but I just stamped in different directions. So you can do that. You don't have to make them all in the same direction, up, down. Some here are horizontal, some are vertical, and I just kind of mixed and matched. This was my little bit funky card, I guess. The colors here are Real Red, Pumpkin Pie, and Crushed Curry. Kind of reminded me of the 70s, I think. And back then we never put orange and red together, but now we can put orange and red together. How things change in, 50 years? This stamp set here is called Friends for Life, I think it is. I'm trying to remember. Friends for Life. Has a lot of sentiments and some die cuts with this. So those are my 3 cards. What do you think? Do you like that technique? I think they're kind of fun, easy, quick, and we're gonna flip back. Little inky, but I'll survive. It'll be off by, I don't know, 2 days from now. It wears off. If it doesn't come off, it wears off eventually, right? So I hope you like that. I hope you liked a little bit of twist on the technique with using the watercolor, a little bit different than how it's normally done. But I love how that one turned out. And it's fun, but you do get a little messy. So if you liked it, please share it with your friends. And I'd love to have you subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up if you found it helpful. If you would like to get my newsletter, there's a link below the video where you can go to my blog and sign up. There's also a link on the blog or on the YouTube channel itself where you can sign up for my newsletter, and I give more tips and keep you abreast of what's going on. So just another way to get some more information. So I hope you like that. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And if you decide to give this a try, leave me a comment, let me know. I'd love to know who's going to try it. And are you going to try the messy version or the not so messy version? So have a great day, my friends, and we will see you next week with something else. Have a great one. God bless.